What is up, everybody? So I got a package in the mail today I'm pretty excited about. FishingCarePackage has had this flash deal recently where you get 5 1-pound bags of soft plastics. I decided, let's go for it. It's relatively cheap. I think with shipping it was like 35 bucks. So I was like, what's there to lose? Read some things about how some people haven't got packages, so I got a little anxious. I think ordered it on the 4th. Today it's 24th. Yeah, it's the 25th today, so real nervous I might not see it, so I'm not going to empty each bag out all the way. Actually, you know what? I might. I will do just that, just to show you how much stuff is in each bag. So, first one is the swim bait bag. And there's just a ton of different kinds. You got these like paddle tails. You got some lizards. Is that a lizard? So I guess they make their own baits because there's a lot of similar molds, just different colors. Got a brighter blue paddle tail. Got this one that looks like a fish. I don't know what these are all called. This one that really looks like a fish. Bright orange paddle tail. So yeah, they say there's 100 in each bag. There definitely wasn't 100 in this. So get all of these back in the bag. So that's I think this is the creature bag they call it. Got that. I think this here looks like the assorted bonus bag that comes with it. This bowl's like overflowing. So in here you get a bunch of different kinds of worms. These here are worms that have a tail. Doing these other creature baits that look kind of like a lizard without the arms. Got some longer worms in it, some just straight yellow ones. A big critter bait. Another big critter bait, and then you just had, seems like a ton of worms and wormy things. These, and then just. So yeah, the assorted bags seem to have a lot of worms in it and a couple creature baits. This is considered the bonus one. I didn't go through and count this individually. I'm guessing there's about 75 things. Yeah. Guess a bigger measurement would be the bags say 1 pound on them. They don't say 100 baits. Got that. This one I'm not going to empty all the way because it's like packed to the top with worms. So I'll just empty it out a little bit. So this here is like the Senko style. One side you get are these bigger, I'd say 5.5 inch. A ruler. Some of the bigger, heavier ones. We got a bunch of these like 3.5 inch, smaller ones. This bag seemed to have a ton of just straight white worms. So I think these are considered the stick bait. And it's hard to get all these back in the bag. Because this bag here was the most full out of any of them. That. What's up next? Let's see, this here was the critter bag. The other one was the swim baits, I'd say, yeah. Or no, this here might have been the random assorted one. Get some Syncos, some little crawdads, lizards, some more of the swim baits, this little monster, some smaller worms, longer worms. So yeah, this just had a ton of things in it. Just all different types of plastics, which I really kind of like using these soft plastics for bass fishing. I'm not a huge fan of treble hooks. So it'll be interesting to see what exactly I can do with these. We got one more bag. So it took about 21 days to 3 weeks. They advertise on their site. They've been busy, so it's been taking closer to 14 days. I was a little nervous that they weren't going to come. I had another order for some saltwater stuff I placed back middle of March that haven't seen anything. I emailed. They said they're just waiting on a saltwater shipment. Not a ton of money spent, so hopefully it'll come sometime. And this here is the creature bag. Just a little crayfish looking thing. Got some more of the bigger crayfish. Some lizards. More crayfish. And just see a ton of different size creature baits. So I'd say overall this was a pretty good value. I really like using these soft plastics. They seem to not always last the longest. You got this crayfish with big tentacles on it. Pretty excited to use this. I don't do a ton of bass fishing anymore, so these will last quite a while. Already excited looking at places on the maps. One thing when I moved to Florida, I thought there's so many big bass. I live in St. Petersburg, so a lot of the freshwater stuff is marked as private or can't really get to. All the lakes in St. Pete are closed until June. Found out there's a $50 fine for fishing there, and really don't want to. I have to spend $50 on a ticket from the cops for fishing. I do think some people get just a little too upset over people fishing. Like, I mean, I'm not really hurting anyone. Whenever I go out, I make sure to pick up all my garbage. I have a plastic bag with me. I'll pick up other garbage. And yeah, I've seen videos of like people freaking out on people for fishing. I'm like, well, there's so many worse things that kids and people of any age really can be doing. So it's a great hobby. I highly recommend getting into it. Just getting outside, some fresh air. I feel like these days with cell phones and Netflix, we don't just get kind of stuck in our routines and we don't get to spend a ton of time outside. So yeah, I got some more packages that hopefully will be in the mail at some time. Really hoping. I'd be kind of sad if they don't, but I have so much tackle right now, I'm not too worried about it. Really hoping after last weekend I can get my replacement rod, put my battle back on, and kind of have a nice saltwater setup. Talked to the bait shop today. They said rod will probably be in next week, so who knows, we'll see. It's always a good time getting outside, even when you don't do good.